I know you said that he took you to his house.
Yeah.
I mean, what sort of things were happening there?
Well, first time I went to his house, my parents allowed me to go my first time when I was 8 years old with my horse. So we went up to his house, and it was a super rainy day, and we ended up that night going on this horse ride in the rain, and he was training these 2 horses, and he was super sadistic, like really, really sadistic. So he thought it was super funny, even though I was petrified. Even though I was a horse freak, I was super petrified at that age of horses being so small. So I was riding this horse that I had just barely got for my birthday for the very first time, and he had this super insane horse that was just barely being trained, who was a twin. And with twin horses, if you separate them out, basically they throw fits and they try to get back to the other one. So he thought it was super funny to let it go and let it run up on the back of my horse. So when he did that, my horse steps over this embankment, which is like this huge drop off, and I had this enormous horse fall, basically, where I fell down this embankment, looked up to watch my horse fall back over onto her back and do a somersault backwards. And of course he comes down, he starts yelling. He was a real sort of Western bravado type of a person. There was no gentleness about him at all. So he stood over me and he was like, "You get back on that horse right now." I'm shivering. The horse is shaking. I feel paralyzed, can't do it. Because I didn't do it, he threw me down on the floor, and then he stepped on both of my arms, and actually ended up hairline fracturing them. So I ended up getting me back on my horse, rode to the house. Later that night, he ended up raping me. He had a wife, ironically, who was not there that night. I have no idea where he was. And then as punishment, I was put down in the basement, which was like this little cement, it was like a cellar. It's just a cement part of his house, basically. And like, it was common for him not to let me do normal things like sleep in beds. My place that I could sleep was in the bathtub with no blankets. And he would make me eat out of the dog bowls and drink out of the dog bowls. I wasn't allowed to pee or anything inside. I had to go outside for that. So that was that. That day when I went up there first too, he ended up showing me these Polaroid pictures, which is where it got really creepy. So this man actually killed children, and what he would do in his drawer of his office is he kept a Polaroid camera, and with every kid that he killed, he would keep a stack of the exact same positions that he would take a picture of every kid in. So one of them was like, you had to be looking at the camera with your eyes up like that, because he liked the whites of the eyes, because that looked super innocent. And then he'd take a profile to both sides. Then he'd take a straight up, and then he'd take this stack of Polaroids and he'd keep them. So he walked me out to the back, and I didn't see this particular murder take place like I saw other ones happen, but he took me out to his back place, and he had a lawn that sort of abutted this enormous wilderness, and there was like a piece of earth that was obviously dug up, and he gave me this Polaroid stack of pictures of this little, like, I would probably guess she was a 5-year-old, like, little blonde girl. And he told me basically that he was keeping her safe. This is where it is. So that was his dysfunction. His dysfunction was basically that by having these kids, especially girls, in his property, that he could keep them safe that way. And so I'm sitting there looking at this picture, looking at the grave, looking at the picture. Now, I can't tell you that I know for a fact she was there because I didn't witness it. But having seen him kill other children after that, I have no reason to doubt that that was what I was seeing, was basically these Polaroids of a kid he had killed and then buried in his backyard. So, yeah, that was my first really lovely introduction to him.